No matter what you try to do, you can't deny the truth. No, no. And what the people choose ain't really up to you. Actions always find a way.
Welcome to the Dr. Ricky Pope Show, where we talk about discovering identity, meaning, and purpose. I'm Dr. Ricky Pope, and my guest today is Dylan Graham. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Ricky.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. So we're going to do a deep dive into Dylan's life and really understand how he makes sense out of life and meaning. And we go way back, like what, over 20 years, I think?
Since we're 15, so
yeah,
26 years, 25 years.
Yeah. So my first question for you, Dylan, is let me think here. How do I want to start this? There's so many angles. Let's see here. What's your origin story?
Origin story, born and raised South London, UK. I'm an 80s baby. I met you around about 14, 15 when I moved to San Diego.
Well, you slow it down now.
Oh.
What was it like to grow up in the UK?
In the UK, right. So in the 80s, London, from my experience, I'd say it's pretty secular. You know, I kind of stayed within my culture, my community. But obviously being a minority in a European country, when I did go to school in my particular area, I was like, say, one of 6 black people in my grade group. There was a few, sprinkled throughout the school. Again, how I'm different to a foundational black American. Being black in the UK, you could be from the Caribbean, Jamaica, in my case, my people, the African continent countries, a lot of Nigerians, Ghanaians, etc. So I grew up pretty much in my culture, amongst family, until I was about maybe 2.5, 3 years old. Had the kind of ideal picket fence family. Had a Jamaican dad, so that didn't last that long. Sorry, guys. But dad left out when I was pretty young. I think we had the kind of big family home for a year or so, maybe. Mum working 2-3 jobs to maintain, but obviously from a economical point of view, made sense to get a smaller place, and lived pretty modestly until I was about 11 and 12. My mum got into computers, in the early days of computers, before it became mainstream per se. All self-taught, all self-motivated she was. By the time I was about 13, 14, she'd established herself, worked for a big internet company as a project manager, managing the launch of websites. Again, this is what, 96, 97,
Oh my goodness.
So in our community, I'd say definitely a pioneer to lead the way. So so by the time I was 13, 14, I'd say I was just under middle class. So, and where it was just myself and my mum, I do have a sister, but she left at the family home early. For her, she was 15. Sometimes the allure of another life is a bit better, and especially she was a bit older than me when my parents divorced, so I think consciously it hit her more than me. I was just a 3-4 year old, happy, oblivious. Was sad that dad wasn't around, but just cracked on with things. I was the baby, so I was blessed, and my mum did a excellent job in keeping my self-esteem optimum, keeping me occupied with a lot of extracurricular activity. And she just led by example. My mum was very fun, but she's also very strict. Sometimes unreasonable. But if there's any person you have to learn how to yield and just let them say what they got to say, it's your mum within reason and what have you.
So in some aspects of what I hear you saying is that your mom sounds inspirational for you in a way, as well as she's gonna stay on top of you.
Yeah, she's inspirational, but not in the sense of giving me galvanizing speeches and what have you. She just, she just leads by example. you know, and lets me express, you know, myself, which I think sometimes is a bit funny because she's raised me to have an opinion and express myself and be clever and be, you know, witty and smart. But then oftentimes, you know, we will clash, you know, where she, you know, calls in rank. And again, you know, as I think one of the last things I've got to learn is just, you know, yielding a bit more, and that's your mum, you know, so just let her, you know, win every argument and what have you. But I just, you know, she calls me last word because I do have to have the last word. But, you know, not even in a petulant way.
Yeah.
I just, if I feel I haven't got my point across, and sometimes if I've had the incident with my mum or any person and I've inadvertently offended them, and then they say how, you know, you made them feel, and then you explain yourself. But a lot of times when people get their part, they're like, it's done, I just want to move forward. Which is all good on your terms, but, you know, I just give me a chance to, again, apologize, again, let you see my intention, you know. So sometimes, you know, we clash there, but that's probably like the last mystery of trying to figure out the woman, which is my mum, and what have you. But, you know, with her around, I will never hit rock bottom, you know. She's got my back. She's immensely proud of me, you know, in whatever I do, how I carry myself, how I am, you know, as a man. And I'm sure we'll get to my life as a man a bit later.
Yeah, no, but I mean, just kind of even not segueing or transitioning, but kind of really staying where you're at, because you alluded to like your dad not being in your life, and so I don't know what that means.
Yeah, well, in all fairness, I didn't start having like dad issues until I was about 18, 19, when I was kind of messing with the idea of going back to London when I was over here, you know. Kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. And then when I got to about 18, 19, and I was like, what do I do next? You know, like there's no instruction book to be a man and what have you. And also kind of felt like an orphan, with my mum kind of being back in in San Diego, my dad being in Australia. That's where he decided to move to. Long way for a bottle of milk.
So what was it like for you, you know, coming from the UK to the US? Because you came, what, in high school? Or?
Yeah. I came at, I think, the tail end of 1998.
Yeah.
Well, it was a culture shock because, you know, I'm coming from like London, fashion capital of the world. So even how I dressed was a lot different. Everyone was very laid back over here, you know, with their Dickies and, you know, just baggy clothes. Obviously, I was coming in wearing my straight cut, you know, jeans. I think my first day of school, I was wearing Versace jeans, Nike Air Max TNs. I think I had a Yves Saint Laurent shirt, and my haircut had my patterns and stuff in, and you know how we do in London. And you know, before I even opened my mouth, I've got a lot of attention just on appearances. And, you know, one thing I will say about San Diego, most people, 90% of the people I meet here are, you know, very friendly to my face at the very least, but, you know, are very friendly and polite and welcoming, you know, which is a stark contrast to how London is. It's a cold, busy city, you know. You know, what I love over here is like when you're walking on the street and you see a fellow brother, you don't know him, you know, from anywhere, but, you know, you'll nod, little smile, and you keep it moving. You know, in London, if I'm walking on the ends and I don't know anybody, and, you know, what's the problem, mate? You know what I mean? And, you know, but that's something I've actually adopted from San Diego. And my time out here is to, you know, if I see, you know, anybody, it doesn't have to be a brother or what have you. I just, you know, if you see me, I'll smile. It's a human thing. I try and pass off a good vibe. That person could have had a crap morning. He could have missed his bus. He could have something, you know. So I think it's more of a blessing to just be myself and just happy-go-lucky person most of the time. You know, and yeah, and if I can just contribute, not to that individual person, but just the world in general, just put good vibes out there, then, you know, that's something I try and do. I've seen myself angry and reactive, and I didn't like that me. So I recognized that from an early age and amended it really, and got a lot of better results interpersonal with people and in life as well, you know. But yeah, you know, the transition of San Diego, I remember going to high school. So in England, you finish school at 16, right? Which is the 11th grade. So you finish school at 16, you do end of school exams called GCSEs. From there, you pick to go to college. So college is literally college, not university, it's college, where you'll do a 2-year course. And then from there, you get grades called A-levels. And then from there, you can apply for a university to get your degrees and what have you. And then obviously from there, you can get your other stuff. So yeah, so, you know, I left at age where I had about 1.5 years of schooling to go.
Oh man.
To come to a place, be put in, you know, I think I was put in 10th grade when really if I lived here, I would have been in the 9th grade.
Yeah.
But even still, I'll never forget my first English lesson. And I came to the class and they was reading a book. And I was very shocked to see kids my age, like struggling to read, you know, because I was like, oh, okay, you know. And I remember like the guy that was reading, I asked him how old he was and he said 19. I was like, oh, you're still allowed in school at 19. So is it, you know, culture shock. America's different. In England, you don't repeat a year. You just do the other year with a lot more support, extra classes or what have you. If it's from an educational, if it's a behavioral thing, then they had, you know, we had bungalows too at the back of the high school, you know. So yeah, so it was my turn to start reading. So I got up and started reading. And I remember, like, you know, I'm a shy person, believe it or not. And I was nervous, so I was at the podium and I was just, you know, just reading. And I just read, and I went to stop reading my chapter, and everyone was, you know, looking, mouth open. I was like, oh, what's going on? And the teacher's like, oh my God, your accent's so beautiful. Like, you know, carry on reading. I ended up reading like 4 chapters. Then I got to my desk and I had like all these letters. I remember we used to do in high school with the scented pens and folding up the letters and stuff. And I had about 4 or 5 of them. You know, with very...
there were no text messages back in the day.
No text messages, you know? No, it's carrier pigeon.
Yeah, they're literally text messages, yeah.
You know, so yeah, so that was cool. And again, everyone was friendly. There was this guy around my school, this guy, he was pretty cool. He was a football star of the school. He used to walk around in his own little worlds, in his own fashion, with his different color hair. And, you know, I used to like you know, walk by him, used to give me a nod, or used to laugh at my accent and just keep it moving and stuff. But he kind of respected because I was always talking to girls, and, you know, I think back then, you know, player recognized player, as we say, or said. And then lo and behold, I think I was talking to another guy about a girl or what have you. And then he was like, what? And then, you know, and then from there we made the intro. I think we were speaking and told you about hobbies. I said I like cutting hair. And I remember I used to cut your hair. That's what I used to do. And then from that, I used to cut some of the other football players' hair. So, you know, got popular. Do you remember the little peanut? The little clipper? Yeah.
Wait, listen, they're not sponsoring us. So,
okay.
Know. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, you know, and then obviously me and you, I think we figured out pretty early, we're very similar. Don't take life too seriously, but we do take it seriously, but we don't, you know, we like to just smile, have fun. You know, and I think, you know, from there, you know, the rest was history. We just had a good time. And I think we both realized as friends, we didn't want anything from each other. You know, I wasn't your friend because you brought the vibes and vice versa. We just complimented each other very well. And yeah, if I was going to do something, I went to do it with you, you know? And then obviously...
So one of the things that I remember, you know, from that period of time, I think you wrote some kind of paper, and you maybe even alluded to this in your story. You were talking about like extracurriculars. And so I see you with the football jersey on here. And I remember you did some paper, I think, for class on hooligans.
It was the senior, was it the senior project?
Yeah.
You had to do to pass?
Yeah.
So I chose something like Google was invented back then. It wasn't invented back then. So I had to do research of a very British topic in a foreign country. So obviously, you know, what you lot call soccer, call football. You know,
that's really soccer, but you know,
the football culture in England, in Europe in general, really is very, very tribal, very tribal to the point, you know, that the working class man would, you know, meet up on weekends, and, you know, if their team's playing that team, they'll clash and, you know, be hooligans, you know, and have a lot of hooliganism. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of pick a subject that was very only I could tell in America, do you know? So something that even if I wrote complete, you know, garbage on per se, I could, you know, get away with it with the teachers because, you know, they wouldn't know. But as you know, when you get into a project and you start researching and learning more stuff about it, you know, you get into it and get more of a passion for it, you know? So yeah, so that project, yeah, it was very problematic, but I enjoyed, you know, doing it. During that time though, I became increasingly homesick because at the time when we met, I was still playing high level football, soccer, what have you. And I had a couple incidences where I just had a kind of like collapses on the pitch. They thought it was chest, you know, heat stroke and what have you. So I was playing games inland, but basically found out that I trained very hard and I got myself myocarditis, which is funny because, you know, in England, I was always just a natural athlete. I didn't train too hard or too seriously because, you know, I got that Jamaican DNA, you know, I'm fast, I was, you know, athletic, springy, strong. Obviously in America, where at the time, 25 odd years ago, they lacked on technical ability. One thing about Americans, they're fit folks, you know, and because of my skill set, I was meant to be in the 15s and I was playing in the 18s. So, and the 18-year-old American man is a man. He's got beards, drives pickup trucks, what have you. So again, you know, my skill set got me far, but again, with the lack of technical ability, I was playing in places where tackles were a bit flagrant compared to what I'm used to back home. Football is actually, you know, it's a club sport. So when you join a proper club, you have a clubhouse, you have your club jackets, your club ties. It's a very, you know, gentlemanly sport, you know. Over here, it was, you know, it was good. But again, you know, they lacked in the technical side of things, very athletic. And I think just the over conditioning, you know, I never ran so much in my life. And it was weird because I could run all day chasing a football, you know, but just running for running, didn't like it, you know, itself. And I think, yeah, that just contributed really just to, I think that shock to my system really. I'm glad, you know, they caused it early because I could have gone 2-3 years of my professional life if I went into the, you know, the college route. Who knows what medication doctors give you there as well. Could have, you know, done stuff. Remember, it's only recently, in recent times, they've got defibrillators onto, you know, pitches and stuff.
So I mean, that must have been scary to get the diagnosis and also just psychologically, like what football meant to you to have that interrupted.
Football, I felt was like the one thing that I had over here that, yeah, I'm homesick, but let me play football. I'm better than everybody. I'm the man. Give me the ball. So when that got taken away, I just became, in hindsight, became depressed. Just ate Del Taco and Tacoville and just, you know, just hanging out and just, you know, started smoking as you do and what have you.
Yeah, that sounds like a form of male depression, man. So like, how did you get out of that low moment? Like what happened?
Do you know what? Personally, like I just have a natural resilience.
It's that Jamaican.
Yeah, I just have a natural resilience. Like I just adapt to the new thing. You know, whatever, I like to think whatever situation I'm dropped in, I'm cool. I'm just whatever in it, you know. You can't really dwell on stuff that you can't change. You're just going to waste time and energy. And when I was about 15, 16, my mum gave me a book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And, you know, growing up in a Christian household, I was always taught like God, and church and Sunday school. But I'll be real with you, it didn't resonate with me. I was that kid that would ask the question of, well, how did Noah get 2 penguins onto the ark if they're in the desert? You know, I was, you know, that type of guy. And yeah, I just thought it was just a big story per se. However, I always respected and understood, say like the commandments, for instance. Anyone that followed that commandments and try to live by that on a daily basis, all they're doing is trying to give themselves rules and discipline to be a better contributing, human out here. So I can't be mad at that. It's when people hit you with the fire and brimstone and the Bible bashing, as we call it, I didn't like. And I felt that like churchy people that I was around were the most judgmental people, like, oh, you're going to go to hell. Like, oh, how do you know? So when I read The Power of the Subconscious Mind and just the kind of the mechanism of thinking of, if I got cancer, I could pray to God, God, heal me, heal me, heal me. Because I've got belief in belief itself, that would kind of do the subconscious job. My cells will start talking to each other, what have you. With myself, I'm one of them people, I like to cut out the middleman if I can, and which is a theme of my life really now. But yeah, if I can go direct, when I realized that I was direct, the concept that if there is a God, if there was what have you, the universe has designed us with everything we need. Even if you fall off, you can train, get yourself back with discipline, heal yourself and get yourself back, to what you need. So the power of your subconscious mind, when I read that, it kind of made me just like relax in life, because I really knew then, like, have accountability, oh, why don't I have a six pack? Because you haven't done 1,000 sit-ups a day for 6 weeks, you like, Carl's Jr. 99-cent Tuesdays, like.
Man, listen, man, I need to get sponsorship, man, with you on this episode.
Sorry,
Carl's Jr., like, okay.
Yeah,
Carl, what's up?
Man like Carl, so I've always been a pretty, chilled individual. There's moments where I get excited. You've seen me excited in life. But, for most parts of things, I try not to be hyper about things. Just be relaxed.
So it really sounds like throughout your life, like your journey, you've been able to think about religion and spirituality and kind of arrive at your own understanding or interpretation.
Yeah. Just on my own, and just kind of learning to think 360. So I think, when I've speak to people that have gone to prison in the system, friends and family. Unfortunately, as a black man, everyone's got a cousin in prison and what have you. And you speak to them and you realize that 90% of people are in a predicament because of a reaction, of a moment of madness, So if you encounter a situation which gives you great dislike and disdain, chill on it, let it cook for a bit, and then decide what you want to do, because that way you have a better chance of accepting accountability for your decision. You know what I'm saying? It's not just, I was drunk or no, just and I think accountability, I find, is a big thing, right? Just from my interactions in mental health. And I noticed that people that are able to heal themselves when they're having mental health challenges are the ones that can take accountability. And I don't mean if you're a young lady and you get troubled by outside, what have you, and you've got trauma. The accountability is kind of not beating up yourself for feeling low because of the situation you've been through, because that's a lot of wasting energy that you could put into healing yourself,
So it really sounds like what you're describing is having self-compassion.
Yeah, like I think people lack a lot of self-compassion, and they try and fill the void with being upset that people are not giving them compassion. That counts for nothing when you can't have compassion for yourself, And again, there are people obviously have mental health because of outside influences per se. And I do think that, there are some that just don't love themselves, and with myself, I'm my own best friend, I was saying to my mum yesterday, the kind of person I am, as long as I try something, even if I come up short, I'm actually still happy with the result because I can learn from what I've did. So the example I gave, if there was, we was walking through the woods and there was a little stream, I said, I'm going to jump over it. And I slipped and I landed on my ass and I'm just in the water. You know me, I'll just be giggling like, you idiot, No,
it makes me think of, I have kids, as you know.
Yeah.
So we were watching Pete the Cat. Pete the Cat's his white shoes. Here we go. Damn it, I need lots of sponsorships. So Pete the Cat, he's walking down the street with his white shoes and he steps into the strawberries and they turn red, right? And it's like, goodness, are we going to give up? Goodness, no, right? And keeps going. And so it's just keep on going.
You have to.
And that's what I heard you say.
You know, you have to. There's, the way I see it, there literally is no choice. And I really like enjoy life. Like I learn something new, like every day, be it the most, silliest thing, you know, especially in America. I went to a popular supermarket this morning. And
I see what you did. I got you. I'm with you.
And I was walking around and like America, man, like you guys over here, just excess is actually crazy. Like you don't have like one type of milk. You've got 50 types of milk, you know.
It's competition.
With yourselves, who can clog your arteries the fastest?
Oh my goodness.
Or what have you. But you know, I always joked if I lived out here, oh man, I'd need 2 studios to fit me in.
Oh, you're so ridiculous. So here, I have a question. One of the things that I heard you talking about was mental health and kind of some of the work. So the listeners might not know. So you actually work with young people.
Okay, yeah. So I was an insurance broker for 17 years. Hated it. That's a lie. I loved it when I was young, made money, ripped off customers, let's go. As you get older, awoke, responsible for yourself, accountability. I felt bad contributing, knowing that if an old lady called up to amend something on a policy, I'm charging her over the odds for something. And after a while, that didn't, you know, it didn't vibrate with me, you know, it didn't resonate as a good integrity to have. It was helped by managers I worked for, whatever job I worked for, and I killed it with sales and made more money with them, they'd move the goalposts. And then I ended up just going to another place and another place. I'm a bit of, at the time I was an insurance mercenary, you know. I was Odell Beckham Jr. of insurance brokers.
That's funny.
So anyway, so the last kind of couple years I was in it, I was approached by a family friend who ran a youth support company where they provided a respite to parents with kids' mental health issues, behavioral problems, autism, etc. And they also had residentials. At the time, I just used to, you know, just meet with service user. Hate that term, but a young person and their family, take them out, give the family some respite, you know. The first young man, I hope he doesn't mind me talking about him briefly. He is a success story to himself. You know, came from a beautiful family. Mum and dad are 2 of the most loveliest people I ever met. His older brother, lovely soul. You know, we do music to this day and talk every day still. And the young man, he had Tourette syndrome, but he also had anxiety because of the Tourette syndrome. So the ticks would start ticking because he got anxious, but that anxiety would start because he started ticking. And it was a vicious cycle. Naturally, like most parents, they tried different, medications. As you know from your profession, one of the things a lot of parents say is, I don't recognize my child anymore underneath these antipsychosis drugs and what have you. You know, so my thing was, I weren't qualified or nothing. Like, I was just asked to work for my friend's company because I'm me, innit? And, you know, I'd be a good fit. And you know, so within 2 weeks of working with him, I had him out at a KFC, and that was a big deal. You
took him to get chicken and that solved everything?
That solved everything.
Wow,
you
KFC, here we go again.
And I remember some school kids walked in and he twitched a bit and he held it. And then after a while, I said, come, let's go. We don't have to kill it. We do baby steps. You know, fast forward to this day, he does the job I do now that he met me doing, and said, you know, it was because of work I do. And his brother actually, you know, works with care with young people and adults as well. Yeah. You know, he plays football again. He's got a girlfriend. He does a bit of modeling. He's got another job in a skate shop, you know, and he loves a pint, and, you know, and he's a good kid, you know.
So what is that like for you to leave insurance where maybe you felt like it didn't fit with your identity to do this work and really shift young people's narratives, right? Like just really the importance of narratives and the stories we live.
Yeah, well, I found that I was still on the like cusp. I couldn't make that leap to do childcare, youth work full time because I was just so office life. I need a certain tie. Insurance makes money, and then obviously we had the lockdowns in England as well, and when our Prime Minister and the Chancellor was on the TV giving the furlough speech, I was brought into the office and told, "Thank you for your services. Here's a couple of grand. Good luck to you." Me being me, got upset. I was upset because the world's ending. I got to feed my kids. I got bills to
You got
pay.
kids?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get to that.
Oh, we get to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, had to feed my children, maintain just my role as a man, and that takes money, unfortunately. So I had a few to drink, and I think I applied at like 20 different supermarkets to work at. I was just trying to think, you know, the sky's falling. What's going to happen? People are going to need food. So I got a job. And I remember they called me the next day. I was still hungover. I was like, "Yeah, can you come down to the store and stuff?" So I was like, "Cool." So the interview, right? So I remember at this point, the last insurance firm I worked for were a smart casual. So I didn't have any suits. I just, as soon as I came at the office life, I threw all my suits away, by the way. I was just tired of that rule of you have to wear a shirt and tie to work in a glorified call center, you know, as an insurance broker. So yeah, went to the interview, put on some like some cargo pants and smart sweatshirt, what have you. And I got there, she gave me some uniform, for some paperwork, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm not having an interview." She's like, "No, you're big, strong, we need you." I was like, "Thank you, slave jeans." It looked like I could lift heavy things, you know. So anyway, I got the job, and it was so funny because after about 5 days of regressing back to my teenage years and working in a supermarket, going from literally like suits to supermarket, stacking cans of beans and what have you, like it, yeah, man, I wasn't depressed. I was just like, my God, I was like so fed up. And it was so funny because I had people like you and other, you know, peers of mine like, "Oh, you know, like, well done, like you got a job, man. Like you got fired 3 days ago and a day later you got a job. Like that's unheard of, you know, that's that TV kind of stuff, isn't it?" So yeah, so I did that for a bit, and it was good because the local area that I was in was a nice part of my area, nice community. And when it was like 8 o'clock, they used to, in England, used to come out and clap for the National Health Service, whatever ritual that was. And but they used to clap for us because during, you know, I was on the front line. Now, I don't want to get too much into politics, but I wasn't scared. I was a fit young man. I've lived in England for how many long? I've had flu, chest infections, bronchitis, you know. You just take your meds, you sit down and you just rock through it, you know. And Jamaican again, that white rum with some lemon, ginger. Just drink that up, wrap yourself up, you know. Like, you know. So anywho, so did that. And then I remember I was speaking to my boss and I said, "Oh, I can't work my shift tonight. It's clashed with my shift at Tesco." Tesco's the sponsor, which is the supermarket.
Oh shit! Just let's keep it going. So what grocery store were you at this morning?
Don't need to know that. I'm on vacation. I don't need people watching my movements. Ralph's. And I used to work there, remember?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, so
Armstrong Gardens.
Hey, they paid bi-weekly.
They did.
I was re-upped every 2 weeks, man.
Yeah.
So I come buy my Stacey Adams.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
No pride. Right. So what was I saying? So my managing director heard I was working supermarket. He's like, "What?" I said, "Nah, I quit that." I said, "No, I can't. I need the money." I said, "Don't worry." And the next day, just went to the head office and he said, "Look, I've got 3 houses we do residential care for, 16 to 18-year-olds. So these are care leavers. They're on the end of the care spectrum. And these houses are set up to, you know, not be children's homes per se. You support them, help them get into like, you know, apply for local college, job applications, help them learn how to budget money. So basically teach them independent skills." We had an independent checklist, and you know, first page is, can they brush their teeth? Can they tie their shoes? To the last pages, do they understand what paying council taxes? Council taxes, like the local authority taxes you have to pay to your resident there? Can they pay their gas and light bill and what have you? So did that. And it was so funny because I didn't experience a lockdown. I was out every day. This lockdown, this pandemic was so serious that I could go onto the transport service in London and apply for a free little blue badge that I stuck on my chest. So when I'm out and about in London, it says I don't have to wear a mask. I was like, it's okay, whatever. So I just walked around like normal, and I found it very funny because it was like a zombie town. It was very surreal experience going to mega big train stations in London. So London being a central place, we do have a lot of central, Victoria Station, Paddington Station, London Bridge Station, Charing Cross. It was just like ghost towns. It was just so weird, it was just like the homeless people out and about. It was, it was a very, I do miss those times because there was no such thing as rush hour on public services. I'm sure you've seen videos of New York subways where everyone's, crammed together and what have you. But none of that itself. So I got into residential. I worked there for a bit, did very well. Just by chance, I had friends that worked in similar industry anyway. And I never realized, I learned very early on in my tenureship that I was a unicorn, a guy my age, black guy from London. And I used to keep thinking like, just me, like, why am I so special? And I had other, I was being headhunted often. I worked for another company. I got headhunted by a company and they had a suicide in the service. And, I've dealt with that in my life as well. And I really felt for them because when you have a suicide in a health service like that, you get a lot of unwarranted attention. People naturally, you're going to get scrutinized by the regulatory bodies and there's actually people that don't like the industry. So they'll take to, social media platforms and will badmouth and do what they got to do. And as I've learned over the last couple of years, unfortunately I've been a bit of a mercenary in this industry because I do find some of these companies can be cowboys, where say I have a house that can hold 3 residents, they would have a resident that's involved in county lines. County lines grooming is where older street guys will groom young people to go to, I'm trying to think of an equivalent over here, like a countryside. So like somewhere like, inland, what have you, off the beat, but, druggy kind of area and just, and push, their products. Obviously when the kids get caught, the older lot get away with it, don't they? So working in a house with those types of young people, working in the house at the same time with a young autistic girl and then with an asylum seeker, that's a bit of a crazy mix sometimes, but the owner of the house, he's getting £2,000 a week for that one, £3,000 for that one, or £4,000 because the autistic girl's a higher risk who also likes to take drugs and do suicide, blah, blah, blah. And then they have staff that just not serious and not trained and,
So you're really talking about like the business side of
the business side,
group homes.
And it's funny because I never actually thought about my own business. I always wanted my own business, but I couldn't think of what I would like to do as my own business until I got into that. And I realized that these people, not clever. They know what to do to get to the position in the house in a regulatory way. But, they're cowboys and these people are making, 12K cash a month after overheads, and it's like, well, I can do that. So, what it made me do is get serious about it and start doing qualifications. So I'm actually doing an apprenticeship in it per se. It's weird because I'm a manager level now, but I'm getting my qualifications. And it's always been myself, my charm and my kind of way gets me through the door with things into very overqualified situations. And then, but I need to have that behind me because, I'm 40 years old now. The job I'm doing, I should be getting at least 15K more a year. That's literally a minimum wage salary for somebody more. So, so I'll just working towards that right now. But the residential side of things is really good. It's weird because I never did this job for money.
Mm-hmm.
So back to saying, taking the plunge of jumping out the corporate world into this, I'm actually making okay money where my integrity is intact and I get to help people. I love when people ask me what I do. I feel so proud saying it and I get a lot of plaudits back, you know, and yeah, you know, makes me feel, you know, good about myself. You know, I'd say for every 7 good days I have in my job, I have 3 traumatizing days. I think because I love my kids that I work with, you know, even the ones, they might not think it because I give them a hard time, but I try to explain to them I'm only hard on you because I actually care, you know, and, you know, deep down, you know, they know, and what I've learned along the way, certain kids that when they get boundaries and they're like, and they resist, deep down, they actually they like it, you know, so this kind of keeping truth to yourself and true to your intentions. Always tell people, you know, as long as you move within good intentions in yourself, you know, sorry, no one can't tell you, you know, anything. They might say something, but if you know your true intention, then you just got to hold that.
No, I mean, I think throughout this episode, you've shared a lot of wisdom with us. I'm curious, what's one elder in your life that's taught you something that's stuck with you?
I've had a few. I started my granddad, Dudley Graham, R.I.P. He passed, you know, 92 years old back in 2018. My granddad, he used to see me when I was a kid and say, "Oh, where you going? Where?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna hang out with my friends." Say, "Your friend? Who your friend?" Say, "Me, I have no friend. Your family's your friend." And at first as a kid, you don't get it. And as you get older and you realize, you know, you must make friendships with your families, especially when you've got cousins and stuff around. It's a good, solid unit. And because of that, and being, you know, familiar with my cousins and loving them, like, you know, I love my cousins like my brothers, you know. You know, they're some of my favorite people. But they're also from different parts of London. So growing up, I could go to different parts of London because people knew of my cousins and my people, and I was left alone, you know? I didn't, so I could be a social chameleon, social butterfly, and, you know, go. So yeah, so, you know, to kind of cherish your family. I'm trying to think of anything else really, because again, a lot of my, you know, my uncle who kind of replaced my dad's energy when my dad bounced, you know, he just, again, you know, he used to just teach me to just give thanks, you know, just give thanks. Every little thing, your meal, you sneeze, you wake up in the morning, you know, just to give thanks. And a lot of times when I'm working with kids or friends or what have you, and they're going through a bit of distress, I say, write down all your blessings. Write down what you think you're not blessed with, and that side always wins. Always wins. So, you know, you got to count your blessings, you know, itself. And, you know, I'd say lastly, just how my mum kind of raised me, you know, don't give people fuel. Unfortunately, being a charismatic young black guy in London, I experienced a lot of institutionalized racism in the offices and what have you, as you do. What I couldn't do, I couldn't drop my standards. I had to hold my head high and just kill them, you know, on the sales, be first on the phone, you know, kill them. And I always did things with a smile on my face, which unfortunately gave an impression that I wasn't taking it seriously or I made things look effortless. So it got you more haters, but I'd rather get haters because you just can't touch me, as opposed to giving you fuel for the fire. So if I hung up on phone calls, they could just pick that up and say, Dylan, yeah, you know, which has done. And then it goes right back to my accountability. I never got vexed with them, I got vexed with me because I gave them the fuel for that fire, you know? And I don't know, I'm sure someone once told me in life, just be nice.
Just be nice.
Just be nice. It's the most simplest concept out here. Be nice. And I kill people with my kindness. You know, growing up, a lot of my peers, you know, they was out on the streets and a lot of alpha male energy. And they used to say to me, "Oh, Dylan, you're too soft, you're too soft, you're too soft." But as we've matured into men, they're like, "Yeah, you're nice." Because I would have killed that. But you're nice. And I say to people, bro, if you're vibrating that low, I can't even see you. The only time I'd get sticky is when I feel someone's gone out of their way to be personal. But back to the subconscious, conscious mind, a lot of people are moving on autopilot and don't even know what they're doing, you know? So I just don't even give them that much purchase that they're even thinking that deep, you know?
Now, I know music plays a central role in your life. And so I'm curious if, you know, maybe at some point we can listen to something that you've made. But how'd you get started in music, and who are some of your influences?
All right, so go back to my mum and dad. My dad's still currently a DJ. He plays a drive time radio show in Australia, in Perth. You know, so I've always grown up with music, Jamaican sound systems. To come home from school, I could hear my dad from around the street. Just hear the dub bass thumping through. My mum, so in England, when I was a kid, there weren't black stations. There weren't no Jammin' Z90s. There weren't no urban stations. Black radio literally was pirate radio, where people set up illegal transmitting systems on top of tower blocks, you know, and did the thing. And my mum was one of the pioneers of that. Her name was the Jazzy Lady, you know, so she's, you know, spinning records. And my mum also, she used to import a lot of records. And you remember back in the day, if you've got something in LA, San Diego's going to get that 2 months later, you know, or especially East Coast, West Coast sort of thing. So my mum used to get a lot of fly stuff from America and import it. And, you know, because she was popular amongst people, she'd have a good market base. And, you know, she used to sell records at Camden Market, which is a very famous market and tourist place. I'll definitely take you there when you come over. Greenwich Market, again, another famous thing. You ever heard of the GMT, Greenwich Mean Time? Greenwich is literally the area. I'll take you to that land. Okay. Where it's weird.
You're gonna have me out. You're gonna have me in England being a tourist.
Yeah. I want to be a tourist too.
Okay, we're gonna be tourists together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what have you. So so like my mum and dad were again both big on the music and DJs. I remember like being a kid watching like movies, cartoons, and hearing like the sound scores and like strings and kind of things. And I always used to say to myself, I'm going to make music out of that someday. It was weird because I just used to say it. I didn't know why, I just used to say it. And then when I moved out here, and obviously we used to do our little rapping stuff and what have you. And I came home one day and they had, do you remember MTV making the video? And it was Noriega, Pharrell, Neptunes, Noriega and Capone. Oh no. And I felt
what?
Yeah. You know, and what I felt with that, Pharrell, Neptunes, whatever beat I would make, they made it.
Fascinating.
It's like if I could make beats, I would have made that. And then I heard another Neptune song and you know how much I loved the Neptunes when we used to burn the CDs and do our instrumental.
Wait, don't be getting me in trouble now. I do not claim, I can't confirm or deny I was burning CDs.
I burnt them. I played them in your car.
Oh Lord. Okay.
And what have you. So I just.
Man, these kids will never understand. They will never understand. What?
Napster.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So, used to do that. And, just used to hear Pharrell, like I said, Timberland, another big, influence, itself. And then, once I learned, I got I think it was Fruity Loops back then. I was 15 years old and part of my mum's grounding sometimes. Like, you're grounded, learn how to use this computer software from scratch. So, I learned how to do animation on Adobe, and I learned how to do music production. And then when I moved to England, when I was about 19, 20, moved back, my friend was a phenomenal rapper, and I just wanted to make beats as he's like #1 fan. And I just learned. And then back then I got into Alchemist by then, again, another, like, he's like my uncle, in my life.
So so you mentioned like 3 influences: Timberland, Alchemist, and Pharrell, Neptunes. So how would you conceptualize like the sound? Like how would you conceptualize your sound?
An eclectic, really, and I think that's just because growing up in England, in London, you know, when I was a kid, I used to like Enya, you know. This is very relaxing, you know. Yeah, just kind of grew up, you know, listening to everything. I used to like Motley Crue when I was a baby, you know, and heavy metal and what have you. So yeah, so like my sound's just a mashup, and a lot of times with music, with beat production, the most funnest beats and times I have is when I'm just sitting there and I'm going through samples and loops, and I'll just play a sound. And then from that, it's and then adding bits, and you know, you just build on it and just have fun. I never really sit there and say, I'm going to make a trap beat today, or I'm going to make a boom bap beat, or I'm going to make an Afro beats. I just play different sounds, and then whatever resonates. And I've always solely believed, I am literally just a vessel with a little bit of skill set, but I am literally just a vessel. I do feel a lot of songs make themselves, and I'm just there, you know. You know, obviously I'm a lot busier than I was in my younger days, so I don't get to do half as much time and, you know, sit in the studio for 7 hours a day, drinking my Henny with the boys over and stuff, you know, we've had to grow up and what have you. So I've learned how to kind of streamline and kind of binge build my beats and adapt my style, you know, to it itself. But yeah, you know, with my beats, it is eclectic. I do like to merge genres as well. So when you're making like trap beats and what have you, they're like, it's built in double time. So they're like 130 to 150 beats per minute. And then obviously I grew up in Europe, so a lot of dancing was, you know, house dance, house raves, garage, what have you, drum and bass. And a lot of sounds from that is what I used to incorporate into my hip hop. So like in the drum and bass that I liked, which was heavily ragga, which is like a dancehall version of reggae music, you know, they used to use like a lot of paddy sounds and strings. And I always loved that, you know, I love fantasy sounds and stuff like that. So I used to, you know, put a lot of those on, you know, my earliest trap beats. I just used to play some little, you know, chords, and then I'd clone the chords onto like strings.
And you're not giving away the secret sauce, are you?
No, I learned it on YouTube. So and that's another thing. I'm not a gatekeeper, you know. One thing I've learned in my life, and I've sat down and taught people how to like do stuff, I always learn something or unlock something I didn't even know was there. And I literally, hand on heart, every time I teach someone something, I always find something new, you know. So I
kind of want to play something that you made. I don't know. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Now you're giving me the copyright approval. I'm not going to be getting flagged later, am I?
Just depends how much views this gets. No. Please play. I said to someone the other day, I make beats like an old lady knits a jumper. She just does it. She ain't trying to sell it in Target.
Well, I'm gonna play like maybe like 30 seconds of it, and then I want you to kind of, you know, after we hear it, maybe explain it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay,
sure.
I feel like you're about to freestyle.
No, I'm retired like Joe Budden.
So yeah, man, what was like, how'd you make that? What was going through your mind? Like, what does that mean?
All right, so it's hard because I make a lot of beats. So that's probably about 70 beats ago I made that. All right, so let me think. So the kind of song you saw the video I put with it, that was from one of my favorite cartoons, Animal Olympics. As a kid, you know, the VHS days, used to pop that in and watch that. But yeah, so, you know, so that the reason why I picked that character for that video as well, he was like a fun California surfer guy, you know, just that laid back, and even like the feel of the beat itself, you know, it takes a lot for me to make them angry and want to kick you in your face, man, that type of beats. A lot of my beats are just fun and flowy. Going through umpteenth million sound packs I've bought over the years, and I heard the arrangement of the sounds, the strings, and I liked it. I was like, okay. So I played with it and played the different tempos with it, and I got up to a 130 BPM. I was like, okay, it can be trappish. And I love trap beats because that is easy. Literally, I can make that with my eyes closed. I can literally just draw a pattern out before I'm not even play it as it go along, because it just has a set formula. So with the trap beats, it just fitted nicely. I think at the time I was experimenting with hi-hats. So obviously with trap sounds, you have to and what I was doing is I was changing them. So I'd be like making it go up and changing. Before I just used to just play, maybe do a little multiples here to a little roll. So I started messing with the concept of then I do a roll but drag a note out, so it just has a different little kind of flick to it and what have you, and stuff. That beat, I'll be real with you, took me about 5 minutes to make. As I said, a lot of times they make themselves. Trap beats, like I said, are very generic. Making music is so easy now. I can literally I could sit there all day and just make different drum patterns, and then go on to a website that I use that do samples and what have you. A free one, kids, because I'm not a gatekeeper, is Looperman. You can go on there, it will tell you what keys are, what BPMs are. But when you learn things, you can stretch things to whatever BPM. So I just used to make drum patterns and just, I want horns. So I'll do a search for horns, see what loops come up and fling it in. What I didn't want to just do is just play the loop. So the technology in my digital workstation, I could put it into my drum machine into 8 parts, 16 parts, and then play it as a sequence. Dun, 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 and kind of make it your own, which is, when you get into loops and the art of looping is easy. I get upset when I hear these big producers and all they're doing is just looping the thing, put drums in it. That there's anyone can do that. And they're not even putting drums in it no more. They're just looping some old sound from a bit of crate digging, turning the pitch, and that's it, But yeah, in regards to that song, I think that day I made about 5 beats. It was, again, what I was saying, binge beating. Hadn't made beats about 2.
Binge beating. Okay.
I like that. So, oh gosh, yeah, I was binge beating.
Oh my goodness.
I like that. I want to put on a t-shirt.
Okay.
Yeah. So so I just ended up doing 5 beats for the day. My family were out, so I had the place to myself. It's like I had a bachelor pad again. And I just got to it, and I think that was I was on a roll, and that was the last one. So whenever I have those days, the first beat is garbage. Second beat, even more hot garbage. Then I say, come on, man, one more, change the genre. So I make a little silly house tune, right? And then I get my spirits back up, and then the 4th and 5th tend to be fire. What always happens, the ones that are fire, I'll send to people. No, that's all right. That first beat I said was doo-doo. Oh, what? Oh, can you send me that? I've not even bounced it down. I've not even done the stems on it. Honestly, if people knew the life as a creative, the things you put your heart and soul into, just the things you think are garbage, people love. It's just it baffles me. I don't try and fight it anymore. So that's why I got so many songs and beats, and I call them beat doodles, where if I was an artist, you'd sketch a little something, right? And I've just got beats like that where I've just, what would that sound like? And I've just got loads of those, and those are the ones when I'm going through my different sounds. And it's going to happen, when we're sitting down and I've got my laptop open and I'm playing new songs. They're going to be like, oh, that one. And I'll be like, that one, brother, you're right.
You're really reminding me of something Coin 92 said, and he was talking about creativity and just letting the ideas bubble up. And so it sounds like that's what you do. You have your process and you just let the stuff bubble up, and who knows what's going to be something that really touches somebody else.
Well, until the other day when I sent you some stuff over, it's been a while, right? And that literally probably the last time you heard stuff was the last time I made stuff. I got commissioned to do some stuff for my friend's podcast, and he makes apps. So I made music for his apps, but weren't music. I literally made the genres right outside. What was fun, one of the songs he required and how he described it to me, I literally had to make a beat how I did when I was 14 and first turned on Fruity Loops before I knew that you could move that button and change the BPM, right? And so that was so fun, and he loved it, and I was like, yeah, you know, and that was a while, you know, since I had that. So as you know, my job can be very demanding. You know, I work 96 hours a week sometimes.
Yeah,
you know, that's a combination of I'm saving up for things, and you know, sometimes I do a lot of good work, crucial work with my young people. So I get worried that people I've delegated tasks to just fluff it up, and mental health is not something you can just, you know what I mean? You have to take it seriously. Routine procedure with autistic people and stuff like that. And the amount of times I've done work and then dare to take 2-3 days off, and it's all gone wrong, you know, itself. But yeah, you know, one thing I wanted to do, and I expressed to you the other day, is I want to finish the year hard. I want to finish the year creative. Anyone can bring out a song on Spotify now. You know, I've had people come to me and say, "Oh, here's my project." Now, couple of them, like my friends, you know, like I'm the young man that I work with. I worked with his brother, the first young man I worked with when I got into the care profession. Like, I love his rapping, you know, and he dropped an album the other day on Spotify, funded it himself, did it himself. I was like, I can do that. And I've been, you know, meaning to work with him for the longest time. I mean, you know what I'm like, people tell me my stuff's great. I'm just like, yeah, well, you know. So yeah, so this year, like, I do want to publish something, even if I just publish one 30-second instrumental, I've done it. I can see when people say, what would you do? Oh, I'm a musical artist. And I am, you know. And it's just kind of, it's weird. Again, I don't take it seriously, but people take it more serious than I do.
Well, you know, I mean, I think you're really touching on something really important and profound, and it kind of makes me sad when I think about even my kids. My daughter, she goes to school, and we don't have music in our school anymore, and things like that make me sad. Like, just the profound importance of music and creative expressive arts, and even in my work, you know, working with young adult children, students in the criminal justice system, and being able to use the arts to help them express themselves, define voice, define identity, meaning, and purpose. And so as I'm listening to you and hearing how you've kind of stumbled upon this career, this care work that you do, and you've been able to use the arts with young people. So it's just really fascinating how all these different aspects of your identity have come together, and you found purpose in working with youth. Yeah,
you know, and I do find, you know, it's so, I don't even know the word for it really, but, you know, there's times when I've worked with young people and they've, like, you know, they've gone to the studio, I've helped, you know, hook them up studio time, and they'll come back and show me their project, and they express themselves, and I'm like, what, you wrote this, yeah?
Yeah.
Like, you can't even fill out a job application, but you described it, you know, wow. You know, and I big them up. And the thing I love about my job, it's like you said, it's the one thing I do best. If I like you and I check for you, I'm going to lift your confidence up. I'm going to make sure you look good for the day, you know? Every young person I work with gives me a hug.
So I got 2 more questions before we wind down. The first one is, what are 3 podcasts that you'd recommend to my audience, and why?
Ooh. I listened to 2 podcasts.
2 is fine, because you gave us a good book recommendation earlier. So 2 podcasts.
All right. So I like the Joe Budden podcast. I've been playing it from inception. Him as a rapper was one of the first rappers I heard bare his soul on the mic.
So there's something about the vulnerability,
the warts and all. And in hip hop being such a alpha male world, the guy saying, "Oh, my girlfriend left me. I've hit the pipe." You know, that's bearing your soul. In a world where people love to weaponize your vulnerabilities against them, you know, especially as a man, but, you know, as anyone. I hate this world where we're kind of man, woman, man. We just, I try to just think of people as just people now, you know, as opposed to that. So yeah, so as people, you know, anyone can do heartfelt music. And then even in his podcast, he don't take himself too seriously. You know, I like people like that can laugh, that can, you know, just laugh at themselves. They're the best people, you know. It took me a long time to develop to be that type of person. I'm very, you know, defensive minded naturally. So yeah, let me think. Another podcast. Well, I guess he does podcasts, but I watch a lot of his shows on YouTube. Billy Carson for Forbidden Knowledge. Again, I'm into the mystics. I'm into the fact of there's civilizations that just left things in stone. You know, when you kind of do enough research, you realize, you know, the Christianity story is a remix of a remix of a remix. And he's just one of many people that I've followed over the years. You know, and he just kind of just goes through, and I just love people like him. They're careful how they talk. He'll tell you, this is just my opinion from this evidence I found when I went to this archaeological dig here and you know, another podcast for entertainment. I love the Rory and Mal podcast. They actually used to be part of Joe Budden. Money, friends, money never works out, but they split off. And in all fairness, they're both winning, you know. And I actually saw them live last week for my birthday. I went, you know.
Happy belated.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm 40.
Yeah, welcome.
Wow. You know, still touch my toes.
Yeah.
And stuff,
yeah.
You know. But yeah, and again, you know, with podcasts and stuff like that, because my job is serious and stuff, and I just, when I'm relaxing, is a lot of fun times and entertainment. You know what I'm like. You know, I like to smile and just be, you know, silly and carefree, and you know, my kids deserve that energy too. You know, yeah.
We haven't really got into your kids as much, and you know, you're a wonderful father, and you've raised 2 wonderful daughters, and really proud of that. So I have my last question for you, because you know, we're getting to that time. So what's one question you wish I'd asked you, and how would you have answered?
Well, this really, I haven't touched. What's it like being a father of 2 teenage daughters?
Yeah.
It's actually fun. I had a preconception of, you know, boyfriends and teenage pregnancies and but like my kids are pretty like cool, and I just talk to them like young adults, and I have done. You know, I'm very close to my kids. They express themselves to me, not all the time, but they express themselves to me. You know, my eldest told me about her boyfriend when they were friends, and they, you know, what gave me solace is she listened to me. I said, look, don't rush to just get with any guy. Make sure the boy is your friend. And, you know, she's done that. They've been together 2 years, man, you know. You know, and they're best friends. She's just started working, my eldest daughter. She works in childcare as well. Stuff. She's doing an apprenticeship. Works at a nursery, or I think you guys call it daycare. And yeah, and she's liking it. She's like earning her own money, which is great, because she now pays her own phone bill. So I'm now $20 richer. Yeah, let's go. You know.
Do you miss embarrassing them, or do you still do that on purpose?
No. You see, the thing is, right? You just embarrass them because they're just ashamed of you for whatever reason. You know.
Okay. You don't really have control over it. It just comes along with being a dad.
But saying that, you know, the last year or so when I've been going out, they're like, "Yo, Dad, I like your fit." Yeah. And I tell you, that means I'm walking out the house.
That means something. Okay.
Yeah. Or like my daughter to you know, she says, "Oh, can you buy me that?" Well, you know, something I'm wearing. So you know, that's cool. I got a 14-year-old. You know, she's very much like me. In terms of growing up, navigating emotions and feelings and stuff. It's been tricky. Again, we've had lockdown as well, and the psychology stuff that comes with that. You know, there's a lot of residue that came with that for both of my for my actual children themselves. But yeah, no, she's doing cool. You know, we do clash at times, but it's just that kind of like love passion thing, sort of thing, and that's why like I give, you know, my mum leeway. It's a bit amplified with my mum just because she's so far away and far removed. So I think some things in reality are slightly warped on her side. You know, it's like it amplifies something that's minor. Like if I said to her, "Oh, my daughter, chill, man. It's not that deep." You know?
All right, man. Well, so we're about to wind down on today's show, Dr. Pope Show. But how was it being here?
No, it was good. It was good. Probably first time I've done a formalized podcast like this. Something that again we've spoke about.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to see you in general. I love you. I've missed you immensely since the 4 years I've seen you. So it's just just nice to spend any minute I can with you, and I've loved seeing the family and what have you. My kids. And I think they all love Uncle Dylan.
Yeah.
But yeah, the experience of the podcast has been fine. I wish you continued success. I wish your guests feel as comfortable as I did today. From the moment I've walked through, the crew have been a blessing as well, and made me feel very, very welcome. As you knew, I was in a bit of a way before I came here today, but as you know, I don't stay in that mode for long. I get out of my system. So no, thank you for having me. And I can't wait to spend more time with you.
Yeah, man, no, it's a pleasure. I look forward to coming over and spending some time with you this summer. It was, what is that, June, July, somewhere in there. So I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah.
I got to get my passport still, but I'll be there.
Solo.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be a break. I can't imagine, having multiple kids on a international flight.
We try to get you over to Amsterdam as well.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay.
And Paris.
Okay. Let's see the sights. We're being tourists for real. Well, listen, this is another episode of the Dr. Ricky Pope Show. You know what to do. Hit the button below. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. The Dr. Pope Show, sponsored by Superhero Friends. Communication is a key to human development. At Superhero Friends, we're all about fostering communication to enable human development. We help people listen, feel, and share meaningful stories. Superherofriends.com.